And welcome back, everybody. We are doing our very first after show for Marvel's She-Hulk, straight up on Disney Plus, as surrounded by Kevin and his beautiful T-shirt with She-Hulk on it. Somebody at least dressed for this.
I actually my closet is filled with like 2 button-down shirts, 6 ties, and the rest is like Deadpool, Gremlins, Ghostbusters, and a few other Marvel comics like T-shirts. That's about it. Oh, I'm Batman.
What's mostly on mine is like horror and some video gamey shirts, some button downs, couple polos. That's about all I got. I like my Fred Rags and Cavity Color shirts, so I got Evil Dead, I got Halloween, I got a bunch of them. But anyways, we're talking She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, episode 1. Got to point that out. This is episode 1 for them and us for this series.
Yes, I know absolutely nothing about She-Hulk. Kevin is probably the most in the know of any of us on our podcast or our video series. I know nothing. I just know of the character. I knew nothing that she was actually like any sort of attorney. I have never read the comics. I've never seen her in anything else. I just know she's been in Marvel for close to 40 years, I believe.
Yeah, I think since 83, maybe 82.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I'll have to look that one up.
Something. Yeah, so I walked into this completely blind.
Well, actually, I have She-Hulk #1. I was going to dig it out, but there's like spiders all around my comic book boxes. Ooh. And yeah, it's not the day for that. But anyway, I found She-Hulk #1, I want to say in like 93, 92, for 75 cents at a flea market. Now, this is back in the days when you could still find good comic books, like trophy comic books, for cents on the dollar, or still cover price, which was like 40 cents, 25 cents, whatever. But this was at a flea market, and my buddy and I just made an awesome haul, and I found that for like 75 cents or whatever it was. And I looked it up today to see how much if it started gaining money. And it's going for anywhere between $67 and $425, depending upon how nice it is.
Oh, wow, that's pretty impressive. Like, you can't even go to a flea. Well, maybe you can go to a flea market and find good deals on things, but for the most part, you're probably going to get something in very horrible condition or missing pages.
Missing pages, something that's been bent, written on. I bought a copy of Daredevil #1 for $200. Oh. And somebody had written on it, and that's why its value just plummeted down from like 20,000 down to 200. Oh. But I was like, I don't give a shit. I want Daredevil #1. So it all depends. Like, it's an emotional trophy, not a CGI trophy. Or yeah. CGC, excuse me.
Yeah, I got a couple items in my collection of other things. I have some old comic books. I think when Harley Quinn first got her own solo run in DC, I actually got like the first like 32, 31, I believe. Cool. And I got those for like about like 50 cents on the dollar, because at the time, I guess they weren't selling. And the comic book store I went to was just like, I asked, like, are you really getting rid of these? They're like, yeah, we're just trying to get rid of them. Now, if I dug them out of storage, I could probably get something, because even though I wasn't into comic books, I went through the whole effort of doing like the boards and the bags and getting them all nicely looking, because I was a physical media collector for movies and DVDs, VHSs at the time. So I just kind of figured maybe I should protect these things. I mean, not necessarily for anything for reselling, but for keeping in my collection. But I got a bargain at one point for comic books, so I can say I did that at least once in my life.
That's cool. It is a great experience for collecting that sort of thing, because it's the only thing wrong with it is it takes up a lot of space if you like start to collect a lot of things, or even if you collect the little things over a several year time. It takes up a lot of space, and now it's a lot of money too. But otherwise, it's like one of the coolest hobbies to have, because not only are you learning how to organize and sort things, you're also learning a whole new vocabulary from cartoonish medium. that actually has very adult themes.
Right. I mean, it would have been wise if people had used this as like a training educational tool of, hey, you're reading comic books, graphic novels, you're reading something. But I remember when I was growing up, people are always like, you're reading comic books, here, read a real book. Like reading comic books does not equivalent to literacy for some reason. But I know plenty of people who are like, that's how they got into reading and how they learned how to read was, mom and dad would give them comic books or take them there. I actually knew a friend, Oscar, back in junior high, who that's how he got over his literacy problems was comic books. I mean,
That's cool.
He had everything. When Death of Superman happened, it was like he had like every version you could find of that. And he had like 9 sealed. He's like, one day these are gonna sell for $1 million each.
They printed so fucking many of those things. They're probably still only worth like $3 because I did the same shit. And I cried like a little girl when that happened, like a sad little child. I cried.
Well, you mentioned crying. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the episode. Like, I knew nothing of what was going on, what was going to happen. I've only seen one trailer of this, so I knew Hulk was in it, that there was a spaceship that caused a crash. But watching this, once the whole accident happened and they were back at his compound in Mexico, I'm still unsure if it was on an island, but it seemed like with the Jeep, they were just on an isolated area. But when she woke up and she was going through the house and she saw the Iron Man face mask, and I immediately started getting the feels like, that's right, because I haven't watched the movies in a long time. It was like, oh, that's right, him and Tony were pretty close actually, from like, I don't know if it was the first Avengers movie, but after the first Avengers movie they did become pretty close. I completely forgot. I thought, wait, Tony, I thought he was more friends with somebody else, but no, it was, he had mutual respect with Cap and whatnot, but him and Banner, I forgot, were like this scientist buddy duo. And then when, Mark Ruffalo as Hulk was talking about Tony, it was like, you could feel the weight of, he was my friend and we built this place together, largely Tony. And then we sat around and drank all the time. We talked, we actually worked on this and that together. I don't know what it did, but I didn't like full on cry, but I felt like I wanted to. Like, I didn't realize how much I missed Tony Stark. This is the first thing I could really sink my teeth into for character development in Marvel movies, because it's been a long time for me to get really invested in Marvel. I don't know, I'm a little less on the Marvel train than most because of burnout, but this brought me back to like the first core movies when we were getting to know Iron Man, Thor, and into the first Avengers movie. And then phase 2, which had a mixed bag, but you still got great character development. Phase 3 is when they started incorporating a bunch of everything else, and then we got the whole big shebang for what we were getting with Avengers Infinity War. And we didn't get so much of the character development interplay at that point, but this just went right back to the initial, to touch the core group of who we were cheering for at the beginning. It's like, hey, this is the home team, this is the OGs that we're talking about. And
the original 5.
It was fantastic. I'm glad they didn't have like a Tony Stark voice going on. You say, if Robert Downey is going to come back for anything, definitely save it for something a lot more important with a lot more galactic scale on the line, or if it's like a multiverse thing when we get to Avengers 5 or 9 or whatever's going on, that's great. But just what we got here was fantastic. I don't know what we're going to get in the Ironheart series, or I know there's going to be a lot more Tony stuff going on there, but in this was the perfect amount to get me invested, not just in She-Hulk, but seeing where Hulk has been the last few years, missing his friend, and how we're transitioning some of that credibility that he's built up over the years into her. It's like, hey, we built up all this goodwill with me as a Hulk. Now we're gonna give my cousin here the rub, and we're gonna get going with her story. But here you go.
Yeah. And one of the things that, well, no, I will save that for later. Was one of the things that Jin needs to learn from his lessons. Remind me to bring it back up again. Is he's had that experience that he's been public enemy number one.
Oh yeah.
More so than he's been a courageous hero for the most part, up until Endgame anyway. Like,
right.
He was a force of nature, a threat to humanity. He's leveled cities in certain comic books. So he knows what persecution comes with the lack of control. But this is all stuff we've never gotten to see Mark Ruffalo explain, because they won't give him his own fucking movie.
Disney wants to make one, but Universal's got this weird contract going on. I've seen it on a couple of other YouTube shows, because I've been watching like other after shows too, and it's like, oh well, we were already planning to do one, but it's just us. We're just having a good time just talking about the show. But like, somebody actually pointed out, like, yeah, Disney wants to make one, but Universal, per their contract, they're the only ones who can distribute the movie due to whatever weird agreement they got, and they're in a stalemate because people are saying World War Hulk, World War Hulk, World War Hulk. This is how you get Hulk off the planet, and then he comes back, and then World War Hulk. It's like, well, I know enough about Hulk to know for World War Hulk, that's basically an Avengers 5 and 6. That's a big 2-part mega event, and you got to resolve that issue with Universe if you even want to attempt that, because that's basically Hulk versus everyone.
Yes, like all the side characters from Thor Ragnarok come on this ship from Sakaar with him and invade the Earth and damn near take over everything. Yeah. And it took the Avengers, X-Men, Alpha Flight. Everybody was going up against the Hulk and all the gladiators from Sakaar.
Yeah.
I didn't actually get to finish that series. I didn't really care for it, but
sure.
It might be too late to do now. I don't know, because they've already gotten past the gladiator Hulk phase.
Right.
So, I mean, he's going to, I guess they still could, because he hasn't found that love yet. The gladiator that he had the child with. Okay. That's her death, and the child's supposed death is what spurred him to attack everyone.
So is that Scar? Is that son of Hulk, or is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah. No, Sakaar is the planet.
Right.
Scar is his son.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've seen Planet Hulk, the animated version, so I kind of remember a little bit of that.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I actually own that too.
I actually want to go back now and start watching some of the older Hulk stuff, because some of the vibes I was getting out of this were, I felt a little bit of a twinge of Incredible Hulk, the TV show. This has nothing to do with that, but it makes me want to go back to the heart and soul of the Hulk that I grew up on, was the TV show.
Yeah. And it's that piano theme and the pity that you feel for Bruce when he's hitchhiking away. You got to see that and feel that with Edward Norton, but they've never really had Bruce in that position again, because since Avengers, when they brought him back into the fold,
right,
like he had some place to go. He wasn't on his own. So I mean, this has been a different type of Hulk, and it's more of a current Hulk. But in order to get him back to being that pissed off gladiator and shit, they've got to take away some of his smarts. They got to put the other guy back in charge.
Yeah, when they were bringing that up in the show was when he was asking, because we were getting into She-Hulk, like, oh wait, you're still Jen? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, wait, there's not another person in there? And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's not somebody that feels like they're a second driver trying to take the wheel from you? And she's like, no. I mean, I loved how it was followed up. Well, I guess my syllabus is shit. And
Yeah,
he
right.
started
Just
tearing up like all my notes. He's like, well, there goes 5 years. You don't have to sit around and learn. But like him just kind of relating that is like, he says he's merged them, but the way he was also asking, like, is there somebody else in there? Is like, maybe you didn't merge. Maybe you just locked away the Savage Hulk and you got a lock and key on him and you only let like certain elements out.
yeah,
Like you can get the strength because in the middle of their fights, even with his little wrist guard, that was restricting him, there's little flickers of real rage coming back out. It's like, oh, he's still in there. And he's been bottled up for how many years now? After he got his butt kicked by Thanos and then he went crying in Endgame. I mean,
yeah. He went away. That was on him.
yeah, Infinity War, he went crawling back into Bruce, and it's like, dude's been bottled up. All that anger. I mean, maybe you shake the bottle enough and the soda's gonna explode.
Yeah, and that and the fact, didn't Bruce also call him a pussy the last time they talked?
Yes.
That's right.
He's like,
uh,
come on.
Pussy,
he's ready
damn
to
it.
fight and he's angry and he's like, it's not working. What the hell?
But I'm glad they explained that in Endgame, that he lost twice. Bruce lost, and then the Hulk lost because Hulk got savage like himself. He was brutalized.
All right.
So he was like scared. It was like a big dog getting his ass kicked for the first time and knows he's not the alpha.
All right.
So,
Well, now
but
that go ahead.
no, you.
I was gonna say, now that we're transitioning into She-Hulk, do you find her to be an alpha sort of character in the show? Do you think she can truly carry this forward? I mean, obviously she carried her own comic series. I'm talking more of like, now she's got her own TV show. How does this feel for you?
Um, it's a bit different from the comic,
Okay.
story wise.
Yeah.
Character wise, I think it's Jen Walters. It's they got her character pretty darn right.
All right.
And the comedy aspect to She-Hulk, I want to say, is fairly new. She was just a badass superhero prior to that. Now, since the recent Deadpool writers started taking over her series, it's gotten much more lighthearted and funnier.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's I think they can carry this absolutely, because they make it pretty plain at the beginning that, like you said, half of Bruce's syllabus is unnecessary for her because she doesn't have the same restrictions that he's had for years.
Right. Like she's totally got a leg up on all of his problems that he ever had.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, I
it
mean,
was a glorious dose of gamma radiation he got subjected to, and she only just got a drop of blood in her system. I don't know.
well, that reminds me. Did they ever say what happened to Stan Lee when he took a sip of the soda that had his blood in it? Did he die or did he Hulk out, do you think?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know. That would have been cool
I
to
don't
see a
know.
hulked out Stan. I bet he would have loved that too.
Even for a minute.
Yeah, right. Stan, we miss you, baby.
Yeah, sorry you didn't get a cameo in this one, but hey, there's still a few more episodes. They might do something like kind of in the background because there were a bunch of Easter eggs. Like even Hulk's gladiator helmet was in the background of
Was
his.
it?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, there was a bunch of Easter eggs. I need to go back through and watch for more because I guess there's a lot in like his little loft area or first floor living room was Iron Man's skull and then his helm. And I heard there was something else in there, but I need to go back through and look because I forgot what they said it was.
That's cool. That's interesting. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, right.
I almost wanted to see Hulk start doing the Brazilian breathing techniques where the guy's stomach was like caving in and out and pushing in.
Oh my god.
That would have been funny to see Hulk doing and trying to teach her and just have her be like, oh. But I liked their training session, him trying to use yoga and meditation in order to control the rage that she's could have
Yeah.
or does have. but then she just, to her, it's just yoga, getting a tight ass. And she's like, get some. And it's like, you feel that, you get it, but he's actually trying to teach her the meditation point of it, the spiritual part of it. No, Bruce doesn't believe in spiritualism. He believes in what do you call it? The therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, that was great. Like he's trying to teach her all these things and she's kind of doing her own spin on everything. And he's just getting like, the hell's wrong with you? Like, and also a little bit of jealousy at the same time, because he even admits it. Okay, I'm a little, oh no, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
But she could actually turn it on and off.
That's true. That's true. And she didn't, again, like you said, there's nobody behind trying to take the wheel from her at all. So, I mean, this is new for Bruce too.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see a very similar relationship with Bruce and Jen later, just like you see with Superman and Supergirl, where Clark doesn't want to let Supergirl go off and fight the big battles. He doesn't think she's ready or old enough. And she's like, fucking Kryptonian, just as you.
Right.
But their dynamic with their training, which was, that training montage was much better than Rocky IV.
Yeah.
Way cooler. But they're, sorry, I just lost the training montage because I started thinking about Rocky. Damn. She's okay. Well, I just damn lost it. I lost it.
Oh, you mean when she was trying to do the arm flappy thing after he did the big concussion blast?
Oh, the thunderclap.
That was great.
Yeah, that was funny because he didn't realize that she could do it sonically. Well, I mean, his is sonic also. It's more of like a
this is more like a cannon and hers is like a rapid fire like pistol, you know.
Yeah, like it was definitely hurting his ears the same way that the Stark Tech speakers were hurting his ears in the movie.
Right.
But anyway, what did I have? I wanted to get that point across in the training. I had something really good. I swear to God.
It's okay. Well, with a lot of the training, like, oh, go ahead.
Their relationship. I was talking about their relationship as cousins. Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, their relationship as cousins, I think you'll see later on in the same respect that you see it as Superman and Supergirl. In this particular session, and especially within the training and their big fight scene at the end, they behaved more like brother and sister. So I'm thinking that they're probably first cousins.
Oh, I would think so.
They fought really naturally and pretty hard, like they knew each other.
Yeah. I mean, I got some first cousins that I'm like that with a little bit, but not that close. But yeah, I've been there with the enemy in front of me.
Yes, I love you, but I will whoop your ass next time I see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, I like their dynamic. They are closer, I think, in this than they were in the comics for years.
Okay, that's good to know. Because I was going to ask you about that, like how close were they really?
Because Hulk was not smart Hulk, he was just regular angry rage. I don't believe I ever remember them like having heart-to-hearts and shit like that.
Okay.
Usually when she was on a team, whether it be the Avengers or Fantastic Four, it was because Hulk wasn't around.
Oh,
so
okay.
She was, and I hate to say this, she was a backup Hulk.
Okay.
So I think this series is great because they're going to give her more character than what she'd previously had in like the 80s and 90s.
Okay. Now, do you think we're going to see more of Hulk, or do you think I know the show's largely going to be about her, but do you think we'll see him again? I think we're going to see him like maybe one or two more episodes, but I don't think he's going to be around in every episode.
No, I don't either. And I'm pretty okay with that because it needs to not be Hulk and She-Hulk. It needs to be She-Hulk. So having like this Yoda type figure, no pun intended because he's green, coming in here and there, like he's given her the warning, and I'm going to assume next time we see him, it's because she's going to come back saying, I didn't listen.
Yeah.
So, and I figured that's going to be his extent. Where I'm confused or wondering who's going to be in it more was Titania.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to be the main villain of the show, but Marvel doesn't show their main villains in the first episode. So
No.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't like watched like all the Marvel shows. This is one I just kind of was like, this is pretty interesting. Like they're doing like this goofy version of like Daredevil and it's with She-Hulk. It's like, okay, well, this is not that, but this is definitely a little more lighthearted fare. But Titania, I think we might see her again, even though she got basically knocked out with one punch. It's like, well, what kind of powers does she really have? I mean, she burst through a wall like the Kool-Aid man,
Oh yeah.
and all she does is she gets hit with one punch and chick is out. And it's like, well, um, okay, are we going to see a court case then between the two or something like that? But then I mean, from the trailers, you've seen like Abomination is going to be involved, but like, how big is that going to be? And it sounds like there's going to be a lot of cameos, and one episode is going to have them going to Marvel headquarters. So
Oh,
I'm not sure how fourth wall breaking we're going to get with that.
that should be interesting. That's where we should see Deadpool enter. But of
That's what a
course,
lot of fan theories have, is they're going to, because how can you do that and not have Kevin Feige in there?
yeah. Yeah, at the very least.
Yeah,
Or
he never wants to be on camera from what I've heard, but like this one, if you're going in there, you almost have to have that. But some fan theories are like, maybe he's in the middle of a phone call and he's like, somebody's saying like NC-17, no, Wade, we can't do that. Or because all you got to do for Ryan Reynolds is have him do a quick like 30-second phone call on good high equipment, and you could do a phone call with him, or he's sitting in the chair with a baseball hat on. And all you get is him turning around in the chair at the end of the scene. You could do the whole scene and then just him just turn around, look back, and be like, "Huh?" Just go,
they
"What movie is this?"
they need to do something like that. I don't think they will, because I don't think they want to get it too zany. But
Yeah.
I would like it if they had a moment where two fourth wall breaking characters saw each other for a moment. And you almost kind of saw that in the first episode where Bruce is telling her, I understand if you want to go. And she says, he doesn't mean that. And he turns and looks like, who are you talking to?
And then she looks back at the camera and he's kind of like half glanced back over, like, what the hell?
Yeah. The only other time that they've really broken the fourth wall as far as MCU was in WandaVision. I think in the seventh episode,
Oh
where
yeah, with Harkness.
Vision's talking to the camera like it's a confessional from a reality show,
Right.
and he's like, "What am I doing? Why am I talking to you?" So and then flies off. But otherwise, they haven't really broken the fourth wall up until that point, and then now this.
Oh, well, they did it with Agatha and WandaVision too, where she's like, "Bet you didn't see that one coming."
That's right, especially during the song.
Well, and she's gonna get her own show too, so or House of like Darkness or something. I think that's coming like next year. But when mentioning Deadpool, if they do it this season, it's going to be very brief, very small, very quick. If you blink, you'll miss it. Otherwise, I don't see why you couldn't do it with a second season. Because if this is going to prove to be good, most of the Marvel shows are limited series, but it sounds like there's going to be a couple that are doing more than one season. I wouldn't be surprised that this gets more than one season. And if you do a second season, definitely you can introduce them there, because by then maybe we've already gotten Deadpool 3 and he's been sufficiently introduced to the masses that way.
That would be interesting. That would be good. My curiosity is how far they're going to go into the cameos, and what strings are going to be pulled together from the last phase 4 episodes in this. Because at the end of Shang-Chi, you saw Bruce, you didn't see Hulk.
Right.
And Wong was pit fighting for
Abomination.
yeah, he was fighting. Well, no, I was going to say prize fighting.
Oh yeah.
with Abomination, like Hogan and Savage would fight. They were making money together, not necessarily like each other, but they were making money together.
Right.
So this is going to answer as to why and how I think, but I don't know where this takes place around Shang-Chi. All we know is it takes place after Endgame.
Right. I think Disney, I don't know if it's on there, but I heard that Disney or Disney Plus put up a timeline of how all of the movies line up in chronological order along with the TV shows, but I don't know if they put She-Hulk on that, because I was actually going to look that up tonight, but I have not checked before we recorded. So
I didn't even think to look.
Yeah, I only just heard about that, like literally like a few minutes before we started recording, and I'm like, I need to look that up because I'm actually very curious where things actually fit, because things feel like they're all over the place.
Some of them still are in the timeline, specifically the Marvel one-shots, the shorts.
Yeah.
The ones called "Funny Thing That Happened on the Way to Mexico."
Mm-hmm.
No, "Funny Thing That Happened on the Way to Thor's Hammer," not New Mexico.
Oh, I think I heard of that one.
Yeah, that one's got Coulson stopping at a gas station, which is a rock song gas station, trying to figure out, does he want powdered donuts or chocolate donuts? And as he's trying to make that decision, the lady up at the front counter is getting robbed. Oh. So Phil diverts the robbery, kind of trashes the place a little bit, pays for his donuts, and then leaves. They have that taking place well after Thor happens.
Okay.
In the chronological order, and you're like, that's got to go back more. And then the All Hail the King, I think, or anyway, the one that has Ben Kingsley in it. That
the 10 Rings one.
Yeah,
I love that one because that actually fixed Iron Man 3 for me.
Yeah, I don't think I've gone back and watched Iron Man 3 since then.
I will watch it for Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark, and that's it. What they did, that is not what I wanted or hoped for, but there's a few misses in the early phase 2, phase 3 areas, like Thor Dark World, Iron Man 3. I mean, there's some misses there.
I didn't necessarily like Dark World. I didn't know people didn't like it nearly as much.
I'm 50-50 on that one.
A lot of people didn't like it, and Loki came back. I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah. You can't kill Loki.
No. Curse was in there. They didn't actually call it Curse, I don't think, but he was in there and he looked really cool.
Yeah.
Frege dying is probably the only thing that was, you're like, what the fuck? Otherwise, I didn't find it to be that bad.
Right.
As far as phase 2 goes, it's better than Iron Man 3.
Yeah, that I would agree with.
Yeah. I didn't read the Extremis story in the comics, so I don't know about all of that, but I do know that wasn't the Mandarin.
Yeah.
And even when they fixed the Mandarin, that wasn't the Mandarin, but it was a lot closer to who Iron Man should have been fighting.
Right.
And believe me, yes, they in a way did fix it as far as like not being culturally insensitive and all that.
Right. There was a lot of that starting around that time. So,
I mean, if you want to see that, you can see it in the 90s cartoon. Like, he is the main antagonist.
Yeah.
But that character didn't need to be in the MCU, I don't think.
Oh, the Mandarin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That version of him, the original version of him.
Oh, right.
I remember
hearing that at the
10
time,
alien rings.
Yeah. Oh, well.
What they came up with was damn interesting too.
Right.
But again, their problem with that was they made him another sympathetic bad guy.
Yeah, we didn't need another one of those.
Yeah, Thanos being sympathetic was bad enough, because there's like people that are like, well, Thanos wasn't wrong.
Well, see, this is where I know we're diverging off on a different topic, but just because we're talking about it, we're going to have fun here and talk about everything else, because if you want truly in-depth She-Hulk, there's other videos you could check out too. We're just kind of a fun one on the side. But Black Panther, Killmonger, nothing redeemable about that motherfucker, and I love it. He's what gelled that movie all the way around for me, was him, because Michael B. Jordan is fantastic.
Yeah, he was really good in that character. I don't know what's going to happen with that because I've heard he's going to be the new Black Panther. That may or may not be true.
He's not in the next one. He's dead.
That's not what I've heard.
Well, they're probably gonna go through a few different Black Panthers, is what it sounds like they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, he was a genocidal madman. Even if you did bring him back to life, how's he gonna be Black Panther?
Yeah. And why would he suddenly have a heart of good?
Yeah.
Why would he give a shit about Wakanda other than ruling it?
See, this is where I think when they introduced the multiverse, they kind of opened up the doors for you can get like, because in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, you have the good Doctor Strange, and then you ultimately have him finding an evil Doctor Strange. You could easily flip him around and do it that way. And he's like, from my universe, I'm Black Panther. I don't have these problems. Actually, T'Challa was the one who tried to kill everybody.
That's true. And I don't think the What If episode was like that. What If, I think
I haven't watched those.
No, I'm sorry. It was T'Challa. T'Challa becomes Star-Lord.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was really cool because like his good presence up in space gave everybody much better karma. Like Thanos had a better head on his shoulders because T'Challa gave him advice at some point.
Okay.
So he didn't wipe out half of existence.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean the What If cartoons are canon as far as I know. Their medium was animation.
Right. Kind of just one-shot deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but I mean, those are different variations of the multiverse. So, yeah, we could definitely see that. And speaking of that, when I think when we see Tony again, it'll either be hologram form, as in his AI that he transferred into the an actual better AI than Ultron,
right?
Or you're going to see another timeline of Tony.
Right.
So, because again, phase 4 and 5 is going to be about time.
Right. Well, we'll see how all that turns out. But, we still have old man Steve with us. Chris Evans, dude, hop back into the wheelchair.
Yeah. I don't think he's gone at all. I don't think he's gone at all because they're not saying so. In fact, they've made it a point not to say so.
Right.
I hear he's on the moon. Do you know where he's at? I bet you he's on the moon.
Well, hey. Yeah.
Which I want to say in the video game, it was very close to that. He was up in the satellite. And they were leeching off. AIM was leeching his blood to make different super soldiers and take powers away from the Inhumans. It was kind of neat.
Oh, yeah. We do not speak of Inhumans in this world, in the universe.
Yeah, no, that was one of their Whedon mistakes, I think it was, or just their initial problem with having a movie division and a television division.
It was more of that. Yeah, it was more the TV division was trying to do their own little thing. Like we got like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we had like Inhumans, but we also got like Daredevil on Netflix, Punisher on Netflix. We also then got Iron Fist on Netflix. But we also got like Luke Cage, which was freaking phenomenal too.
Yeah, the first season of Luke Cage was dope.
Yeah, and I thought almost all the Daredevil was really good. I mean, I'm not like the biggest Daredevil guy, but I really liked the show. I definitely thought the first and the third seasons were the best. And if you stay tuned, it does look like Charlie Cox is going to be making an appearance in She-Hulk, which makes perfect sense because they're both freaking attorneys.
Absolutely. And they're going to show his brand spanking new costume, which is actually his original costume.
Yeah, I thought I saw a still of that. It's kind of like a dirty yellow-ish. It's not like perfectly shiny. So at least it looked like dark. It still looks like his outfit from the Netflix show, but it's definitely more of the ugly yellow, which I think looked really cool on him, honestly.
Yeah, and they're going to be calling his new series Born Again.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's going to be a costume change in that story one way or the other, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But now this is a legitimate question. Now, for people that don't follow all my other weirdness, MST3K, their 13th season, they couldn't use certain elements from the Netflix series because Netflix owns that to a point. Do you think that's the same thing with Netflix owning the red Daredevil costume? Is why they're going back to the original yellow and red?
No, I think because all these shows are on Disney Plus now. They're not on
Oh,
Netflix.
that's right. That's right.
So they have the rights to them. I think they want to be able to show that there's a difference between those shows and the new ones that are coming. And even if they're bringing the characters over, there are going to be some subtle differences. But ultimately, nobody knows if this is going to be the same Daredevil, quote unquote, or the same, Kingpin, because I guess Kingpin was in the Hawkeye show, which I have no interest in, but he was in that. It sounded like they were doing a little different with Kingpin too, but I kind of have a feeling like all of this is loosely going to be canon. I think we're having a time jump. And I think we're coming back to Matt Murdock a couple of years like after his show, and he's now been in Spider-Man, and now we're like a year, quote unquote, a year removed from Spider-Man No Way Home, and now he's out in San Francisco or wherever this is set at. And because I don't remember where this is set at, but
I'm not sure.
I
Jen was
kind
a
of
West Coast Avenger, though.
oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. But I think you can play enough with the time jumps because the show has been off for so long to then Spider-Man to then this, that maybe he's just a little more aged, a little more refined. He's a little more confident in being Daredevil. I don't know how much that'll play into the Born Again story, or if something comes up and he's just like, oh shit, not this again. Because it sounded like, didn't they do season 3 was largely the Born Again story on Netflix?
I honestly don't know. I
Okay,
want to say so because they got rid of his costume
right,
and put him back in the black suit and then the rag.
right. Yeah, I think somebody described it as it was they did part of the season 3 was that. So how they're redoing the story again, I guess we'll find out. But it's getting like, oh God, what was it? 18 episodes? I think it's getting 18 episodes. And so I guess we'll see. It's already been said he's a lot funnier in She-Hulk in his appearances, and people are freaking out like oh my God, he's going to be a comedy character. No, if you actually watch the show, he's actually very funny, very suave. It's just he's
Yes.
surrounded by such dark moodiness and everything he's surrounded by that you kind of forget about it. And all you think of is, oh, the brutal fight scenes and oh my God, that was so dark and depressing. No, dude can crack a joke. Everything's fine. Just chill out, people. And now he's going to be working with She-Hulk a little. It'll be fine. It's going to be
Yeah.
fine.
I think Matt's going to do much better in the MCU, getting all of his friends that he has in the comics.
Yeah.
He'll have a much tighter support system, I guess,
Yeah.
other than Foggy and Karen, because in the comic books, Karen gets killed by Bullseye, but not before she thinks she has AIDS from being when she was a porn actress. So I'm not sure how much of that they're going to take and put into this show.
Oh my God.
And all I could think of
I didn't know any of this.
Yes, Kevin Smith wrote that fucking story. Mysterio fooled her into thinking that she had AIDS and that she was going to die. And so Matt starts thinking that he might have it, or what's he going to do to help her? And he can't do anything to help her. And then Bullseye fucking impales her in the heart, basically, anyway. So, like, it doesn't end well for Karen.
Huh.
Yeah. And so they do reference the porn movies in season 1 of Daredevil. That's when she kills Wesley.
All right.
because he makes an allusion to her past.
Right.
So Kingpin definitely knows about that already. Whether or not they'll actually show it in Disney Plus, who knows?
Yeah.
I hope not, because I really like Deborah. Her Karen's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like how she developed there at the end, and if we can get Foggy back, that would make me very happy, because that was a great cast.
Yeah, I actually liked him in that role better than Jon Favreau, and Jon Favreau was the best part of the original movie too.
Yeah,
actually, yeah, he was.
Although he's better as, what is it, Happy Hogan?
Yes. Yeah. Oh God, he fucking broke my heart in Spider-Man 3. Ugh.
Dude, yeah.
Crying over May's grave. And then I wanted to cry for him all throughout the movie, trying to get back together with May. It's like, oh, dude, don't do that. Self-respect.
Yep. Man up there, buddy.
So, but anyway, let's talk a little bit before we stop. Let's talk about the trial at the climax. The trial that was supposed to happen, the closing statements. I don't know who the fucking defendant was.
I didn't either. I'm like, okay, they're all in suits. Who's what? I felt a little lost, and I've seen enough court shows that I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm seeing that the gentleman's name was Holden Holloway. I didn't Google that. I mean, it's probably a Marvel villain, but I didn't recognize him as anyone, and they didn't put out a specific name. So I'm wondering if she's not going after Kingpin as well, and that's how Matt gets introduced into this shit too.
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, because anybody, of course, that investigates Kingpin gets dead, except for Matt.
True. Yeah.
And Karen, so far.
Yeah, and run-ins by random villains I've never heard of before, like Titania.
Again, all I know is she's really popular in the She-Hulk comics at this point. So I was kind of like, well, then go her right on.
I wonder if she's just gonna ramp up her power and she'll be like a perpetual pain in the ass. You know, randomly she breaks in on the court cases for Jennifer, and she's like, I'm trying to have my closing arguments.
Yeah, that was fucked up. But hey, good for her for being ready to go for it at the end anyway.
Well, as long as she took her shoes off first, which I thought was hilarious.
I'm gonna
wreck my suit.
Yeah,
get the suit. Just take your shoes off.
Because those were expensive. God damn it.
Yeah.
Like they had little elements where it's not superhero-y. It's actually like very strong womanish, and that's one of the parts. It's like, don't fuck up my shoes. I will fuck you up, but don't fuck up my shoes, because those were expensive and nice looking, I guess. But I mean, it's like Jen was just really cool as that lawyer. She was not afraid to bust anything out other than messing up the shoes. And the girliest part that it got in this, that I'm sure the incels are probably rolling their eyes over, was the group of Jersey girls that come into the bar bathroom when she's first waking up, and she's all disheveled and shit. And you hear one girl going, girl, whatever he did, you do not deserve him, or he does not deserve you, or she does not deserve you. It's okay. But they were just like so supportive. It's like, we got you. We've got an extra shirt, cover yourself up. We're going to clean you up. We got your makeup. It's like, I don't think I need to be doing my makeup right now. Oh, honey, you do. Like, that was just such a cool little side segue for what had happened to her. I loved it.
I love the pink poofy jacket she had on.
And then, and everybody watching this, you just need to watch the show because we spoil everything. When you see her Hulk out, like, clearly she has that same rage and magic moment of changing at those fucking guys that were chasing her through the parking lot. Yep. The same way that Bruce did when he said, "That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry," and punches the Shatari warship.
Oh yeah.
that was her equivalent moment, and I liked it just as much. There's already a GIF of it online on Facebook that I've seen. I'm like,
oh really?
Oh, that's gonna fit so many jokes and memes.
Well, there's gonna be one special meme, Captain America.
Oh my god, that
The
was
running
great.
gag with Captain America. That's the cherry on top for the whole thing for me.
Yeah, she's this conspiracy theorist about Captain America's sex life or lack thereof.
Lack thereof, yep.
Like she wants to know that he did, because the History Channel makes him out to be Jesus, and he didn't have time, or he was too good, he wasn't married to Peggy or whatever,
And he had America's ass.
And she's sitting there crying, that ass didn't deserve to die a virgin.
Then after they booze it up, the post credits just like, okay, so yeah, 1943, a USO show. He hooked up with a showgirl. She's like, I knew it, Captain America.
That's pretty much the closest they've come to dropping an F-bomb in one of the MCU movies, I think.
Well, they could have actually like cut it off like a little quicker, or they could have done the funny little bleep, and she would have been like, what? If she heard like the bleep song and break the fourth wall.
Or the fucking air horn.
Exactly. Like, there's any number of ways they could have gone. So the fact that they went as far as they did, but that was nice. That was a good touch. It's like, okay, you're setting a good tone for the rest of the show. And okay, maybe now we can get past the origin story and we can now start getting into She-Hulk and her story and what she's dealing with then.
Yeah. And as far as having an awesome origin story, I mean, this was a little bit more awesome than I remember the comic book being.
Right.
But stuff over there. Anyway, the origin story is a little bit better, but not only was this an origin story, but it was also a conclusion story, I think, for Bruce also.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, I am too. Episode 2 can't come out fast enough. I wish they would have dropped 2 or 3 episodes today.
I agree.
Especially considering they're only 30 minutes. Like, these are only 30-minute episodes. So you're like, I want more.
Yeah, don't be fooled by their times. They say 38 minutes. It's more like 7 minutes of credits, and it's 31 minutes otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. And, anyway, speaking of that, do you know who did the art for the end credits? That was just absolutely beautiful. I
don't actually, and I was pretty impressed by that.
Yeah, it's whoever it was. I'm guessing is somebody that actually draws the comic of her, because that's what she looks like in the comics.
Yeah.
She's. Oh, and by the way, when you Hulk out, does your hair just naturally get better? Because like her and Bruce get better looking hair when they Hulk out. Like hers, it gets longer, less frizzy.
Yeah.
And like she's gonna be in a Revlon commercial or some shit. Bruce has got that nice fade.
Yeah. Hulk magazine. We're gonna Vogue this issue.
Excellent. So yeah, I can't wait for episode 2.
Yep, me neither. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at sunsandshadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.